Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and this is it. This is that video you've been waiting about a year for, one of the top videos that we do every single year. This is the top 3 VoIP service providers for 2021. You guys know how we roll with this video every single year. I'm going to start with our number 3 pick, and we're going to work our way up to number 1. Along the way, as I talk to you guys about picks numbers 3, 2, and 1, I'm going to talk about, who they are, where they're from, and I'm going to give you guys some of the key pointers of just why, they're on this top 3 list and why we highly recommend them for you potentially adopting them as your VoIP service provider for your business needs. Before we jump into this, remember, we represent not only these top 3 on the list, but every single hosted voice over IP service provider in the United States. We can typically pretty much always get you significantly better pricing and a better deal than if you shop direct. So if you're watching this video and you like what you hear about any of the 3 on here, be sure to reach out to me first so that we can work directly with you to see if one of these 3 providers makes the most sense for your business, and then we can get you special pricing on your behalf and work from there. So anywho, let's start off with number 3, Nextiva. Nextiva was founded in 2006 and they're headquartered out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Nextiva is an excellent platform which actually just did a major upgrade on their platform and software called NextOS back in November of 2020. Phones that Nextiva supports, or phone manufacturers, IP phones that they support that we recommend are Polycom, Cisco, Panasonic, and one thing that makes Nextiva super unique, which is very unique among all of the other providers that are going to be not only on this list, but that we work with, is they actually have their own brand of IP phones, Nextiva brand IP phones, which if you check back to this channel, you'll see that we do various videos on those phones throughout. Some of our thoughts about Nextiva and some key points that I want to go over. Nextiva has a very robust and mature platform. As I already mentioned, they've been around since 2006, so this is not a new platform. Nextiva includes with their platform mobile app, desktop app, video conferencing, which they use Amazon Chime, and also Conference Bridge for all users. Nextiva's got lots of integrations, and they boast that they can connect to lots of different software to try to help you unify the communication in your office, but some notable softwares that they actually integrate with are Microsoft Dynamics CRM, Salesforce CRM, Zoho, Microsoft Office 365, Outlook, and much more. So to see a more in-depth list of that, again, you guys can reach out to me and I can send you links that will show you some of the things that they integrate with. They also do have an open API because I've actually personally worked with some customers that chose Nextiva that wanted to use the open API to integrate with other softwares that weren't on their plug-and-play list. One notable one being Shopify was a retail store that we actually worked with that worked with Nextiva for that on a particular project. Nextiva is a HIPAA-compliant platform, so we have personally worked with lots of people in the medical and healthcare sectors to be able to adopt their system. What else do we have here? Nextiva, here's one thing that makes Nextiva super unique. Nextiva has its own optional built-in CRM. It's very unique because most service providers, as you know, they do not have their own CRM. They expect you to bring your own CRM to the table, and then they have ways to potentially integrate their voice over IP phone system with their CRM. Nextiva has the best of both worlds. They not only have plug-and-play integration capability with lots of different other major CRMs out there like Zoho and Zendesk, and the list goes on and on. They actually have their own CRM, which, as you can imagine, since it's Nextiva's own custom-built CRM built on the Nextiva platform, it works seamlessly with their actual voice over IP phone system, i.e. call pop, i.e. the ability to be able to pull up a client's record as the phone call comes in and things like that, or make notes within the CRM that are relative to a call recording or to a logged call, or timestamp within your Nextiva phone system. It's a very unique but also very convenient combination there. Let's see here. All right, so I put on here, Nextiva does offer free phones. They're one of the very small handful of carriers that we work with that still offers free phones. They do offer free phones, and they offer free phones on a 36-month agreement for accounts that have a minimum of 5 extensions or users. One other thing that makes Nextiva really super unique, and this is one that I just could not wait to talk to you guys about because we didn't mention this in previous videos that we did in the past in our top 3. Nextiva is one of the only providers that offers a free virtual fax and free toll-free number for all business accounts. It doesn't matter if you have 1 user, 100, or 1,000. Nextiva includes for all business plans, or what they call their Pro plan, a free virtual fax and free toll-free number. I know for a lot of you out there who are watching, you're thinking, why is that a big deal? That's like a $50 to a $65 a month cost savings. For some of you big businesses out there that are watching this, that may not be a big deal, but a lot of startups and a lot of smaller businesses that we deal with that, you know, even though they've got money, we live in different times where the pocketbook and the bottom line is everything. That's a huge savings to be able to have a virtual fax and a toll-free number bundled into your service free of charge. Whether you choose to use it or not is up to you, but it's there, and that's a really big value add that a lot of clients that we work with on almost a daily basis find as a really big advantage with Nextiva over a lot of the other carriers. Let's see here. Nextiva boasts that they have one of the most reliable networks out there and that they have little to no downtime. Now, we're going to do a future video with one of their engineers talking about this, about just how stable Nextiva's platform is, so I'm not going to go into too many details about this. But if you're watching this, and I get a lot of people that contact me that say, hey Prince, what about downtime? We can't go down. If we go down for, you know, an hour or 15 minutes or whatever it may be, it's a big deal. If you fit that schematic and you're watching this video, Nextiva is the one for you because they not only boast that they have the best uptime in the industry, they have statistics supposedly to prove it. And we're going to do a video in the future with one of their engineers just to see what the proof in the pudding actually is in regards to their uptime and how reliable their network is. Final point that I wanted to make is Nextiva has some of the best customer service that we have seen in the industry. For those of you who know me, you know that we work with just about every single service provider out there, especially all of the most notable or most reputable ones. Nextiva, in our opinion, has some of the best customer service and implementation process for new customers out there, small and big implementations. So much so that in our recent VOIP Awards 2021 video, which I'll tag for you guys if you want to watch that, we actually gave them the VOIP Awards Best Customer Service Award for 2021. And there's a reason for that. And we're also going to do a future video with Nextiva talking to them about why they're, you know, a little bit about why they set out to have some of the better customer service out there. But if you're watching this and a big value add for you, or just a big, I guess we'll say, plus for you, is to have not only good long-term customer service, but to have excellent initial implementation and setup of a new phone system, like hand-holding levels of setup and training for your staff, Nextiva just might be the one for you because these guys really shine in that area. Nextiva pricing starts at about $23 per month per extension. Obviously, if you come to me, you're typically always going to get a better deal through me than if you go direct. So don't forget to call your boy Prince. And that is our number 3 pick is Nextiva. Oh, our only complaint about Nextiva, I try to do a little bit of, not only the pros, but I try to do a little bit of cons for you guys to keep it on the, you know, on the honest and transparent. Our only complaint about Nextiva is they have very little support for Yealink phones. Nextiva does not sell Yealink phones natively, which is something that is very unique with them, as most of the other major carriers support Yealink. However, they do support Yealink phones, but they don't quite support the large, I guess we'll say, variety of Yealink phones that some of their other major competitors, support. So if you're a Yealink snob like me and you're interested in Nextiva and you like what you've heard, you could just email me or message Nextiva and ask them, hey, do you support this Yealink phone? And they'll let you know whether they fully support it or not. So I'm not saying they don't support Yealink. They just have very limited support for certain Yealink models, and you cannot get Yealink directly from Nextiva. You would have to get it through a third-party source like a VoIP supply or something like that, which we could hook you up there as well. Anyways, moving on to number 2, Ringcentral. Ringcentral was founded in 1999, and they're headquartered out of Belmont, California. Pricing with Ringcentral per extension starts at $37.99 per month per extension, depending on the features and frills you need. But again, if you reach out to me, I can always hook you up and typically get you a much better price than that, especially depending on your scenario and how many extensions you've got. Ringcentral is one of the most feature-rich UCaaS service providers out there for small to mid-sized business that we work with. So much so that for our recent VoIP Awards 2021, we actually gave them most feature-rich platform for voice over IP service provider. So if you're interested in seeing that full list, you can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to get you that to be able to see exactly what they offer. One of the things that I want to mention about Ringcentral is, while we would never say that there is a best service provider out there for anybody, every service provider is, has its pros and cons and is best for specific scenarios or for specific companies at that specific time and place based on, whatever it is they're looking for. We will go as far as saying we have worked with hundreds of people in the telehealth sector, especially since recent events in 2020, which we will not mention because of YouTube's algorithm. We've been fortunate enough to work with literally hundreds of persons in the healthcare sector that to combat times in 2020 and 2021 and to be able to enable their staff to work remotely, we have found that Ringcentral tends to be one of the most sought after providers for persons in the telehealth and healthcare sectors and things like that. So if you're watching this and you're in healthcare, Ringcentral may be worth a look. Phones that Ringcentral supports currently at the time of this video is Polycom, Yealink, Cisco, Unify, and they even have the ability to provision Grandstreams, Panasonics, and some older models of Avaya. Simply put, even though they're our number 2 pick for this list, Ringcentral is number 1 in just the sheer variety of IP phone brands and models that they actually support. They definitely take the cake there. One of the other thoughts about Ringcentral and some things we want to jump into is Ringcentral has an excellent mobile and desktop app. They actually have one of the most feature-rich mobile apps and desktop apps that we work with. And typically when we have people that look at demos from multiple providers, they tend to really like what they see with Ringcentral's app. It is a very advanced app, and it does a lot of interesting things and tricks, which we're going to show you guys later in our 2021 mobile app review with one of their engineers in the upcoming month or so. Ringcentral has one of the best video conferencing platforms built in called Ringcentral Meetings. One of the reasons that people that we work with tend to really like it is because it's very Zoom-like. In short, it's got familiarity. And whenever we work with people that video conferencing is a big feature that they use regularly, and they need to have something that is not only familiar and easy to use to their customers, but feature-rich, people tend to almost always gravitate towards Ringcentral's voice over IP platform with the Ringcentral Meetings video conferencing platform built in. So if you're watching this and video is a very big part of your business model or your business, Ringcentral may be worth a look. Let's see, moving on. Ringcentral is a HIPAA compliant platform, which you probably already guessed, since I said that they are probably one of the biggest, most highly favored voice over IP service providers that we work with. That is chosen when we work with people in the different sectors of healthcare and whatnot. Pricing with Ringcentral is typically not the cheapest. I'll be honest with you guys. If you're watching this video and you're somebody who's penny pinching or you're looking for quote unquote the lowest price voice over IP service provider out there, Ringcentral is probably not the one for you, if I'm being honest with you. Now, don't get me wrong. If you come to us, we can always get you really good reduced pricing, a lot better than what you're going to see online. But even then, they tend to be a little higher than the bunch, and they're honest about that. They don't boast that they're the cheapest. Let's see here. Customer service and implementation isn't bad with Ringcentral, but it's not the best that we've seen. Ringcentral is a bit of a mixed bag of US-based support and then a little bit of outsourced support. So depending on your preference there, it's really depends on your preference there is all I'm going to say to that. Their implementation can sometimes be a little rocky depending on the scenario. If you're a medium size to a bigger company, I always recommend with Ringcentral, while all of the other providers don't charge for implementation and onboarding, Ringcentral does when you get over a certain extension count. They do give you the option to have a kind of quick and dirty implementation for free with their team. But if you're a mid-sized to larger company and you really want a little bit of hand-holding and you want to make sure that your implementation goes without a hitch, I recommend that you pay the extra money for their implementation. It's not too terribly expensive, but it does cost something. So that's kind of something that makes Ringcentral a little different. They do charge for implementation over a certain extension count, but they give you the option to opt out. But I don't recommend that. Let's see here. Another thing with Ringcentral is they do not offer free phones that we know of at the time of this video. Now, for mid-sized to really large accounts or government accounts, they might. But they are not typically one of the service providers on this list that we would classify as service providers that do the free phones thing that you guys have heard me talk about. So expect to either bring your own phones with Ringcentral, buy phones outright, or do phones on a lease or on a rental with Ringcentral. Now, the good news is, hope isn't all lost. Ringcentral does have some of the most aggressive discounts on phones if you do need to purchase phones from them. We've seen them go as low as 50 to 60% depending on the phone count and the phone model and what rebates they can get from the manufacturer to put on top of the discounts that they're going to be able to give you internally on the phones as well. So they can do some pretty good discounts on phones if you'd like to get phones from them, which we recommend because they'll also pre-provision the phones ready to go for their service as well. Another thing that I want to say is Ringcentral has an incredible admin portal and back-end collaboration portal. We have seen folks in the education sector, like virtual learning, things like that, when they've seen Ringcentral's admin portal, but also their team collaboration tools on the back end for students and teachers, they absolutely love it. Obviously, this also applies to if you're not in education, this also applies to you if you're just regular staff and admin or call center and things like that. But they have excellent admin portal and excellent team collaboration tools on the back end to share files, collaborate internally and privately amongst groups and things like that within the same organization. Last but not least with Ringcentral is Ringcentral has the famed Ringcentral App Gallery. For those of you who don't know what the App Gallery is, we did a separate video on that. I'll tag it. Ringcentral basically has probably what is the largest variety of third-party plug-and-play API integration capabilities with things like your email, your CRM, your calendar, and much more. If you're somebody who's watching this and you really heavily would like to rely on or already rely on your phone system to be heavily tied into things like your software and your internal programs like your CRM and all that, Ringcentral is definitely an excellent option for you. All right, so coming up on VoIP service provider for 2021, number 1 is Vonage. For those of you who are watching, you probably already knew this one was coming. We basically base these reviews based on the top ones that we sell or that clients ask for or that they're looking for or they find that the peg fits the best for them. And we have consistently found that Vonage tends to be the best all-arounder for most businesses. Now, I'm not implying that they're the best for every business, obviously, because they wouldn't have any competitors if that was the case. But we've always consistently found year over year, currently at the time of this video, that they tend to be the best fit for most people and have kind of a solution that kind of one size fits all depending on what it is you're trying to do or trying to accomplish. So let's jump into service provider, best service provider for 2021. Number 1, Vonage. Vonage was founded in 2001 and they are headquartered out of Homedale, New Jersey. Their pricing starts at about $29.99 per month per extension. But believe me when I tell you, you can get a lot more aggressive than that, especially if you come to us. Vonage actually tends to have some of the most aggressive pricing out there on the market of like caliber service providers. The reason I say like caliber service providers is because I get phone calls all the time of people that are like, well, Prince, what about this no-name provider that I've never heard of and they've never heard of until the time that we're talking about it. You know, these guys charge $1.99 per month per extension. I want to be clear when I say Vonage tends to come in as most aggressive on price in comparison to their competitors of like caliber that are offering a solution that has the potential to offer the same quality, reliability, and guarantees is essentially what I'm saying. Vonage does support they do support multiple IP phones, but the two main IP phones that Vonage supports, the two main brands, is Polycom and Yealink. This is not to say that they don't support something like a Grandstream or something like a Panasonic, because they do support some of those phones, but the two main ones that they tend to support is Polycom and Yealink. So I will go as far as saying, while Vonage is number one on this list, they are not number one in the array of IP phone manufacturers that they support. They definitely support less than a lot of your other providers out there, but they support the main two that everybody tends to be looking for when they call us, which is Polycom and Yealink. Our thoughts on Vonage. Literally, Vonage is one of the easiest platforms to use. We've always kind of joked internally and said that it's so easy that my kids can do it, and I've even gone as far as joking and saying that my pointer hound Skittles could even configure the system and set it up from scratch as a potential new, customer to Vonage. If you're watching this video and you're somebody that you are looking for ease of use, you don't want to have to deal with calling into a service provider to make small to intermediate changes to your phone system, Vonage is definitely the one for you. It is one of the easiest platforms out there to use. Point number two I want to jump into. Vonage is the original undisputed king of the free phones promotion. For those of you who have frequented my channel or who you are a subscriber, and if you're not a subscriber, stop what you're doing and hit that subscribe button and that notification right now. Support me. For those of you who may or may not know, one of the first videos that we did that was years ago was talking about how to get free phones from Vonage. You can still get free phones from Vonage. Typically, it's got to be on a 36-month agreement, regardless of how many extensions or users you've got. But there are times, if you're a mid-sized to a larger business, you can potentially get free phones even on a lower term than 36-month. But, that's a to be determined. It depends, type of scenario. It depends on whether you're government, how big you are, how many extensions you need. But they can usually flex a little bit depending on what you're bringing to the table, what kind of business you're bringing to them. Let's see here. Vonage has an excellent mobile app and desktop app. Again, to go back with what I said about their platform, it's one of the easiest mobile apps out there to use and the most user-friendly desktop apps to use. We actually use it internally. I use the mobile app and I think it's pretty easy to use. One of our actual solutions consultants internally uses the desktop app. She's been on board for months now and she's never came to me and said, "Hey Prince, how do I do this? How do I do that?" She just kind of can figure it out on her own. Very user-friendly interface. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that all of the mobile apps we've covered in here do support iPhone and Android, so that is to be expected there. Let's see here. Oh, another thing. Vonage actually recently released multimedia messaging capability into their app in beta back in, I want to say it was either late 2020 or very early 2021. We suspect that it will be full release, here pretty soon, but Vonage did recently release MMS to their mobile app. So for those of you who are thinking, hey, does the mobile app support MMS, multimedia messaging capability? Yes, it does. Vonage has an extremely rich, feature-rich platform, and the reason I bring that up is because their platform essentially, in our experiences in consulting with hundreds of different customers, their platform tends to have all of the features already included that the average small business needs. What does this mean? It means that most businesses don't need to add like this extra add-on or that extra add-on or whatever it may be. They tend to have kind of baked into their base platform every basic to somewhat intermediate feature that they kind of have suspected that your average business would require. Let's see here. One of the only cons that I would say about Vonage at the time of this video, if we're keeping it, totally transparent, you guys know me, is their implementation and support is excellent. that's not an issue. But Vonage has a thing where your business has to be of a certain size or a certain dollar figure of monthly spending before taxes, fees, and surcharges for you to get their implementation and support. Now, why do I bring this up? You guys know me, I like to keep it real, but we found over the past like 6 to 10 months, it's been I think 6 months since they made this change. We found over the last like 5 to 6 months that it hasn't actually been a big deal for most new customers because their platform is super easy to use and whatnot. Let's see here. For those, one thing I want to throw out there, anybody who's watching this that is either a mid-sized to larger company, you meet the dollar figure to get the higher levels of support, or you're a call center or something like that, disregard what I said about the not having any access to implementation and support. You get like literally red carpet service with Vonage. And if you'd like to know what that looks like, or you'd like to know, hey Prince, I'm a small to medium sized business, do I qualify for the implementation and all that? Just message me and I'll let you know. If I'll be able to tell you about what I think your monthly costs will be and where you'll stand and what implementation and all that will look like. Pricing is excellent, as I already mentioned. Vonage does include video conferencing with their platform. They actually call it Vonage Meetings. I wouldn't say it's the best out there. It's really kind of a personal preference. As I already mentioned earlier, for any of you who are watching that like video is like the big thing for you, I would be leaning more towards like Ringcentral. But you could also take a look at Vonage Meetings and see what you think. We actually use something else internally because we're a Google shop, but I've not had very many clients complain about Vonage Meetings or anything like that. As I already mentioned, their pricing is absolutely excellent. It's probably the most aggressive on the market in comparison to their like competitors and things like that of similar caliber. And Vonage is also one of the best all-arounders out there, period, end of story, in regards to just the features that they include and whatnot that they offer in the package at no extra cost. Okay, so before we wrap up why Vonage is our #1 pick, I just want to throw out there again just a quick synopsis. Best all-arounder, super easy to use, one of the lowest prices out there depending on the size of your business and what it is that you need in comparison to their like competitors. Even though price isn't always everything, and even though they're not always the cheapest, they're always in line or better. Free phones. They still have a way to get you free phones, while a lot of other providers either never did it in the first place or stopped doing it way back when. And it just tends to be the best all-arounder. I've worked with people that are 1 employee startup business, 2 to 5 employees, 100 to 200, and Vonage even has customers of their own that are 1,000 or thousands of employees with multi-location. This is one of the reasons why during our VOIP Awards 2021 ceremony back in February, we gave them VOIP Service Provider of the Year, is because not that we're saying that they are the best carrier with the best software out there. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying that the majority of customers that we work with, when we put all the chips on the table and they look at the different options, pros and cons, that tends to be the way that either we advise them based on their budget and needs, or the way that a lot of them call and say, based on your videos or based on what we've researched, this is the one that we think makes the most sense. Again, they tend to be the best all-arounder. So anyways, that concludes the top 3 VoIP service providers of 2021. If you're watching this video and you're thinking, you know, I'm interested in seeing a quote or seeing a demo or one or more of these providers, I can do that. If you're watching this and you're still not sure which one of these providers may or may not make sense for your business, our service is free. We don't charge anything. We're paid by the service providers. We are more than happy to speak directly with you to see which one of these providers or any of the other providers that we work with makes the most sense for your business communications needs and budget. Again, you don't pay us anything. Our service is free. And most importantly, if you come to us first, we can usually get you a much better price than if you shop these service providers directly yourself. So, if you found this video helpful, please like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We upload new videos every single week. I'm Prince Rich, your go-to guy for the best deals on business phone and internet service in the United States. I'll catch you again in the next video.